Dear ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you very much for coming to our session. Thank you very much, organizers, for inviting me here. I'm very excited and honored to stand in front of you and present some of our dedicated banking products on financing green buildings. In fact, I have attended a similar conference, facility management, 2 or 3 years ago in Berlin, and this was pretty much an eye-opener for me. We never thought before about this set of industry, and attending the conference actually gave us an overview of the complexity and also opportunities within this industry. And then, since then, we tried to develop a couple of banking products which we can put on the market and try to explore with our clients. I would say this was pretty much a mixed success. Here and there, we managed to do a couple of successful deals. Others are in pilot phase. And I would be very grateful at the end when there will be a chance for question and answers to receive your feedback, maybe questions, maybe recommendations. I'm also here to learn from you, since probably most of you are far more familiar and experienced in the sector. All right, let me try to introduce my slides. Maybe not all of you are familiar with our institution, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. It was set up in 1991. Our shareholders are the government of 63 countries, plus European Investment Bank and European Commission. And the purpose of our bank was to facilitate transition to market economy of Eastern European countries after the planned communist economy. Initially, we invested in Central and Eastern Europe and former Soviet Union, former Yugoslavia. Then, a couple of years ago, 4 North African countries were added as our countries of operation: Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, and Jordan. Then later on, Turkey, and 2-3 years ago, Greece and Cyprus as well. Our mandate, as the name says, is to facilitate transition to market economy. In fact, what we thought about since 2006 was, let's make this transition to also green economy as well. So to avoid, let's say, the mistakes from other parts of the world. In essence, as a financial institution, we are looking into 3 main aspects. First of all, we finance bankable transactions, which should be sound, economically sound. Then we should be additional. We should not phase out local financial institution. So for that reason, we don't provide, let's say, cheaper money, which can outpace the local banks. But we can add a bit of value with some technical assistance. We can look at some market segments which has not been well developed. And actually, this green economy was one of the sectors which needed a bit of assistance and support in our region. What we provide: investments, technical assistance, and also we work with national governments or with municipalities on, when I speak about our department, about greening the infrastructure. Then here are some figures of what we have financed so far. In general, we finance approximately 9 billion per year, and according to our green economy transition, which are internal policies, we should achieve by end of 2020 approximately 40% of our investments going to green or sustainable projects. And when we say green, we actually have followed the climate finance methodology agreed between the Multinational Development Banks, which is in line with UNFCCC requirements. And within the bank, I'm working for a team called Energy Efficiency and Climate Change. So we are within the banking division. We work alongside our bankers, and I'm covering the built environment projects with corporate clients. It means I'm working with all our property and tourism bankers, agribusiness when it comes to retail, transport when it comes to airport terminals, manufacturing and services when it comes to logistic infrastructure or private hospitals, MEI, municipal infrastructure when it comes to public buildings or public hospitals, anything to do with the buildings. Up to now, since actually the start of our Green Transition Initiative, we have financed approximately 9 billion euros on green projects, and 1.6 billion are dedicated like incremental climate investments into the building sector. This is the biggest sector when it comes to size of investments, but it's also very challenging and very difficult as well. Because of fragmentation, because of capacity issues, supply chain, awareness within the stakeholders, a whole set of issues. And as I said, we have tried different things. We started, let's say, 10 years ago with, maybe even 12, with ESCOs, energy performance contracting, then, again, mixed success. Some way it works, some way it doesn't. A lot of regulatory challenges, capacities, small size of investments, etc. Then we try to develop some dedicated credit lines. Then we work with larger size property clients, like property funds or larger landlords, on greening their portfolio of assets. We are actually the first international financial institution with a dedicated retail sustainability financing tool or product. We are increasingly interested to look into green property bonds as well. For instance, I'm staying in touch with the Climate Bond Initiative based in London, and I'm part of the technical working group for the buildings. And then, of course, we continue with structured financing like ESCO, energy performance contracting, forward rating, etc. So let me introduce these products in more detail. Then special attention we pay also on the public buildings. But again, due to our mandate, we can't work that much with governments, or we can't provide direct financing to municipalities. There should be a market angle. And then what could be that market angle? That could be private concessionaire actually taking care about certain segments of the municipal infrastructure. We have developed with the government of Turkey large public-private partnership hospital framework, which is of size of 15 billion euros, aims to build a number of regional hospitals, including in Istanbul and Ankara. These are large hospital complexes. For instance, the smallest one is approximately 700 beds. The largest one in Ankara is 3,600. Where actually we have helped the government to set up the tender requirements, including very green ones, state-of-the-art technologies, also some benchmarks for operation and of the facilities. And then the government, the Ministry of Healthcare, tenders private concessionaires, which can actually apply for financing from any financial institutions, including us. And in some cases, we typically don't finance 100%, but we syndicate with other financial institutions as well. We are looking to replicate this model in other countries. We are discussing with the governments of Croatia, Romania, Kazakhstan. We have been talking also to the government of Bulgaria, but due to government changes, now we are looking forward to see who is going to form the government and how we can team up with them. So this is one of our products, a part of financing. What we have provided is also a bit of technical assistance. For instance, we run with the government together through independent consultants a technical assistance called Value for Money, where we actually evaluate public-private partnership model compared to direct procurement by the government. And then what I didn't mention within the concession period is 25 years. And then the private concessionaire is responsible for all the facility management, while the healthcare services are provided by the municipalities themselves, or by the government, if you are talking about state hospital. So it's pretty much facility management, and resource efficiency is one of cornerstones there. Here is a case study of Adana. You have the presentation, probably you can see the details. The hospital is pretty much in completion stage. Typically we give our concessionaires a period of 3 years for commissioning, for construction and commissioning, and then the concession is for 25 years. There are benchmarks related to energy, resource efficiency, again, state-of-the-art technologies, including anything you could imagine, from open protocol building management system, LED lighting, renewable energy, integrated renewable energy, rainwater harvesting, excellent level of thermal insulation, glazing, mechanical, electrical services, on-site generation, tree generation, everything is there. Because we are interested to build as green as possible, or our clients to build as green as possible. Well, another product, and which is very interesting, and I'm curious about your feedback on this. We were pretty good at actually financing specific green components within, let's say, commercial development, or setting up dedicated credit lines through local financial institutions where we can actually set up a number of technical criteria. Then these are used by the local banks to finance small-sized projects, including residential, commercial assets, etc. But it was a bit of a challenge to deal with larger size property clients like property funds or real estate investment trusts, or let's say large corporates like telecom companies holding a larger portfolio of assets. And then we came up with this idea where we structured a set of requirements to our clients, pretty much conditioning our financing resources to compliance with this. And these include upgrade of the physical infrastructure in a common sense, economic sense. Then resource efficiency focused facility management. So there are benchmarks, there is monitoring, there is a management plan set up for each individual asset by the team, and some benchmarking and monitoring and verification. Then engagement with the building occupants, which can vary from project to project. Some, let's say, for retail assets, this can be tenants. We had a nice project also in Poland with student housing, or can be residential assets. So engagement with the building occupants can vary, can take a shape, let's say, in terms of commercial tenants with green leases, or awareness raising campaign with monitoring and benchmarking for individual dwelling units when it comes to student housing. Then fourth element is to document whatever is achieved by some form of formal certification carried on by independent parties, and then reporting on sustainability using any of the international recognized schemes like GRESP for portfolio building assets. We have piloted this project in Poland together with Heinz Sustainable Income Fund. And then we were interested to see, okay, we have come up to this idea, but where do we stand on the market? What others are doing? Are they doing anything similar? Because we know from, let's say, from UK, the Carbon Trust Fund is trying to structure something similar. So we hired a consultant, high-level, high-flying consultant, engaged, let's say, in policy set up by Brussels for energy performance of buildings, and we give them a task, okay, map the market and tell us where others stand, or what do you think of our model. He praised us for this product. He came up with a couple of easy to actually implement recommendations. For instance, instead of coming up with plain targets for resource efficiency improvements of 30 or 35%, okay, look at the trajectory to low carbon economy set up in a given country. So to put it in the context of national climate change policies or regional climate change policies. Then another one was, instead of trying to invent some own standards for sustainability reporting on portfolio basis, look at GRESP. So we get in touch with them, we understand more how they work, and now what we're doing, we incorporated all these recommendations in the set of metrics. So whenever a property fund is coming to us, we say, okay, here are our requirements. We're happy to discuss fine-tuning of this, but this is pretty much a matter of compliance for our resources. Again, we piloted in Poland. We are looking into a couple of these in Turkey. Maybe Greece would be the next one to implement with Greek telecom company. They hold a portfolio of real estate assets worth 2 billion. So it could be a next interesting project. So this is the case study of Heinz in Poland. You can have more details on the slide. Then these are the dedicated credit lines where we set up requirements coming up, let's say, set of measures, windows, control system, billing integrated renewables, mechanical, electrical services. Then we attach to this some technical assistance, dedicated consultants which we manage, and which help A, the banks, and B, the clients of these banks to disburse and report on the achievements. We have these sustainable energy financial facilities. Now we relabel them into GEFs, meaning green economy financial facilities, so sustainable green, in some 20+ countries with more than over 100 local banks, and this accounts typically every year for a couple of hundreds of millions of sustainable financing in different countries. Here are a couple of case studies. I picked up one municipal run in Slovakia and Hungary. In Slovakia for residential and industrial assets, and then a residential one for Bulgaria. Typically we take the funds associated to technical assistance, and in some cases combined also with some concessionality element, for instance, some incentives paid upon completion and verification to final beneficiaries from national resources or from international donors like European funds. Then what we have on the next slide as number 4, it's Green City Action Plans. This is done by our policy colleagues. They discuss with selected municipalities and then map the municipal infrastructure for climate priorities, challenges, as well as opportunities. And then based on that, they set this as a priority action plan, and then we finance any of the projects which are top on the priorities. We have done this in a couple of smaller municipalities. We wanted to start with smaller cities, small capital cities like, I don't know, Tbilisi, then Moldova, now in Serbia, in Belgrade, and probably later on we'll expand to larger capital cities. Again, this was some case studies from Georgia, from Tbilisi. Then we are also looking into urban regeneration projects as well. This can be done by private parties or in combination with the municipalities or governments. The case study refers to urban regeneration projects in Amman, Abdali district. So this was in the downtown center of Jordanian capital, where previously this was a military area, military barracks, and then the government decided to turn this into a new business hub, business city for Jordan. So they made a master plan and engaged with a number of private developers, and we actually were part of the financing package for some of the commercial assets in the district, including for district heating and cooling plant. So again, we are looking into sustainable and green investment opportunities. Sustainable retail, as I mentioned, we have been the first international financial institution to come up with dedicated approach to retail. What that means? Well, we had retail clients in the past, including developers with shopping mall or chain of shopping malls. So then it can be food retailers like Schwarz, like Lidl, like Metro, a number of these. Żabka in Poland, Spar. And then we realized that a part of, let's say, proceeds for expansion or acquisition of new assets, they may need also resources for greening, again, the whole portfolio of retail assets, but also looking into logistics, supply chain, warehouses, transport fleet. And in order to have more comprehensive assessment of where the company stands compared with the, let's say, European benchmarks, we hired a consultant who prepared for us pretty comprehensive assessment tool, which actually identified the gaps of the company. Then we conduct the assessment when we discuss during the due diligence stage. And as soon as we identify any gaps, we put this on the table. We discuss with the client, should there be needed some incremental financial resources. We're happy to provide so. Otherwise, we can switch, let's say, between expansion, the financial resource for expansion to greening or enhancing their sustainability. Again, a couple of case studies, Poland and Serbia. Then this is something labeled green and climate property bonds. This is something in pretty much exploratory stage. While we were doing the hospitals in Turkey, for instance, and when I travel to Turkey, we have the pipeline of projects. So when I go there, I check on all the projects where we stand. And then on one of the projects, there were some issues with debt exposure of the client. So it wasn't so straightforward to provide them with debt for the given development. Then we were thinking about bonds. And I said, okay, but why don't we go for green bonds? Because we know what are the requirements, we are pretty confident on the qualities of infrastructure, the monitoring and verification was anyway in place because the concessionaire anyway needs to report to the government. So it was pretty much a formal third-party opinion on the green color of the bonds. So we went this with the company, Renaissance. We passed the verification, and this was our first case study. And now increasingly we are looking actually to expand and scale up on this. Then ESCOs in Latvia, the next, I think this is the last case study. At the beginning I mentioned that we tried with ESCOs and energy performance contracting with a mixed success, and I'll explain why. The notion of coming up, financing specific green bits or greening the infrastructure is very nice, and then it can get paid through the savings is wonderful. However, in a real life facilities where you say, okay, ESCOs are going for short payback investments. And when the facility is of a decent quality and pretty much works well, it makes sense. Yes, replace a boiler or chiller or introduce a bit of automation and control or lighting, fine, you can measure, you can do that. But in our region, where we are facing, especially in the public building sector, these are facilities which were left without proper maintenance and operation for 20, 30 and more years. So they're in pretty much crumbling condition. And then no ESCO can do complex refurbishment and then get paid for these capital expenditures out of energy savings only. Again, issues with energy tariffs, etc., etc. But in any case, where possible, we are happy to discuss with the interested parties, set up, let's say, a fund which can buy receivables, and then ESCOs, essentially ESCOs does the project, sells the receivables, and then takes the resources for the next project in line. So we are open to continue with this. What we finance is not only, as I mentioned, debt or through dedicated structured banking products, but we are also interested to provide equity investments as well. Intermediate financing using local banks for smaller size investments. Then continuing with energy performance contracting, forward-weighting, etc., technology-based. We are very happy to discuss with any of the governments or municipalities in our region, any public-private partnership schemes, urban regeneration. Should there is an interest and in decent pipeline of investments, we are happy to look into green and climate bonds, as well as to help these municipalities with a bit of master planning on the green and climate opportunities. That's all on my side, and I'm looking forward for your feedback and for any questions. Thank you very much again.